Well, I don't know about you all, but I'm pretty happy that the noise has died down after this summer's emergence of the cicadas. That said, they may have done some damage to some of our trees. Here now with the dirt today from U of I Extension is horticulture educator Ryan Pankow. Ryan, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let's look at some what the cicadas have done.
I was going to say, it looks like you've brought some samples.
Yeah, I brought in some samples of various trees. Most of these are oaks that you see in front of us here, but we've had a lot of questions about how to identify cicada damage, and well, I think it's kind of easy to tell. There's some look-alike kind of things this time of year, so let's take a look at how you might identify cicada damage on your tree.
All right, so where do we start? I'm seeing looks like some healthy leaves, but also
yeah, this is a pretty obvious thing to see, right? Dead limb hanging down. What's happened here is these cicadas lay their eggs in the stem, and you can see pretty extensive damage along the bottom side here where this stem has stayed living, except this little limb has actually broke off in the wind or something. So that's super obvious. You see the hanging down dead stem that is dead all the way from here on out. Cicada damage.
Now, is this from them laying their eggs inside of the branch, or are they eating the branch? What's going on there?
They're laying their eggs inside there. The larvae hatch, and then they do feed a little bit before they drop to the ground and go back in the soil for their next 13-year round.
Okay, fascinating. Now, this is significant, especially this year, because of the extreme level of cicadas that we had with the different broods that all hatched at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. We had a 13-year cicada hatch. So for 13 years, they stay underground, and they all came out earlier in the season, where now we do have a little tiny bit of cicada noise because we have annual cicadas that come out in late summer.
That's what we're normally used to seeing.
Yeah, and their numbers aren't as bad. They do similar damage like this, but we just really don't see it as widespread as, you know, the park that I got this damage from, it was like on every oak tree you could find some kind of damage. Now, here's another example where, look, we don't have the hangy down twig. You know, you can see, though,
is all intact.
That's all intact. So this little guy hasn't broke off yet, but it's damaged enough that the tree's is given up on this twig out here. So you'll also see this where they're still kind of in alignment with the stems, but they haven't broke off, they aren't hanging down. But again, remember, we have from one exact point, this is just all dead. There's nothing alive on the rest of this. It's all died, where the last thing I wanted to look at was maybe a little bit of a look-alike type of symptom.
So something that's not cicada damage, because maybe your tree has another problem. You don't want to mistake it for something that it isn't.
So this sample here is a red oak that has, I have a test at the U of I plant clinic right now, so I can't say definitively it has bacterial leaf scorch, but that's what these symptoms are really consistent with. And when I brought it to the plant clinic, they agreed this is probably what we've got here. Now, the big difference I want folks to look at here is that you don't have one whole twig dead, you have leaves that are dying back. You know, you have a little bit of live tissue here where this was reported to me by a neighbor in Piatt County, and they thought it was cicada damage. And when you stood back a ways, it kind of looked like cicada damage.
Right, you see the dying leaves and different things like that.
But the point is, we don't have just from one exact point all the way out dead limbs or dead leaves.
So you're looking for these specific kind of things here on the branches where they've kind of dug in, they've laid their eggs. Now, we're almost out of time, but I got to ask you this question. What do we do if we see this damage? Is there something we can do to help the trees? Do we leave them alone? Is it just part of nature?
Great question, great question. For a healthy large tree, this kind of damage, it's not a big deal. It's going to grow out of it. It's going to lose these twigs slowly. I mean, it may be a little unsightly this year. You may see a little bit of it hanging on next year. No big deal. But where it really becomes critical is for smaller plants where, you know, the proportion of their canopy that's damaged is approaching a third or a half.
And that's going to affect the overall health of the tree.
Yeah, that's where I would really worry, and I want to watch those plants. And you know, the best recommendation we can give is watch it, provide it plenty of water in the hot, dry period. And if you're bold enough to do this, pruning off this dead growth and back to
cut it back down,
live stem.
Cut it back down, past all the dead, and then just let the good come back out.
Yeah, but at the next branch union.
Sure.
So that's where you'd want to clip it.
Okay.
And so that's probably the best thing. And then, you know, the other thing to think about is if it's not cicada damage and you have something like bacterial leaf scorch over your whole canopy, or the other thing we can see right now is just early fall color. That's signs of a stressed tree, and we need to look into a little bit more what the cause could be.
Awesome.
In those cases.
Well, it's good to know what's going on with your trees. Ryan, we appreciate you coming in to give us these tips and the perspective. If you want to connect with the U of I Extension and learn more about cicada damage and how to kind of discern what's going on with your trees, we're going to connect to you over at ciLiving.tv.